Chapter 19. Reaching. Rudy was playing Nerf basketball when Eric strolled into his bedroom. Rudy looked hopefully at his big brother. Nerf was way more fun with two people. Eric went to the small bookshelf against the wall. He counted out $27, a 20, 5, and 2 ones, and smoothed them on the shelf. Rudy watched with astonishment. You took it? Eric didn't bother to deny it. Just tell Mom you found it. But you got your money back, okay? It doesn't matter who took it, Eric snapped. Tell Mom it was under your bed or something. I don't care. Just don't say I paid you. Rudy clawed at the back of his knee. He didn't say yes, and he didn't say no. And then he offered up the ball. Do you wanna? I don't, Eric said. Eric closed the door, returned to his own room, sprawled on the bed, his mood sour. After 3 minutes of staring at the ceiling, he came back to Rudy's door, apologized, and said, of course he'd love to play. But, he promised, wagging a finger, I will destroy you. Oh yeah, Rudy exclaimed, rising to the challenge. He loved trash talk. Rudy fired a long shot from across the room, which Eric swatted away, and the game was on. Eric had been undecided over how to handle Griffin Conley. Should he risk confronting Griffin about the stolen money and the CD, or should he just let it go? Eric didn't know how he'd react until the moment when he passed Griffin in the hall, coming from opposite directions. They saw each other and locked eyes, not speaking, not slowing. Then Eric felt his head tip. He gave Griffin a nod of recognition. Griffin nodded back, and it was over. They had silently agreed to pretend nothing ever happened, or at least not talk about it. The damage had already been done. It wasn't about the money. It was about knowledge. Now Eric knew what Griffin was all about. $27 and a CD was the price he had to pay. But now he knew. It was like a switch flipping on, a darkened room suddenly filling with light. The truly puzzling thing was, it was as if Griffin wanted Eric to know about it. It was almost why he came over in the first place. Griffin had removed the mask. The wolf stepped out from beneath sheep's clothing and revealed himself, gnashing his teeth, showing his claws. There could be no more doubt. But at the same time, he made a point of telling Eric that story about how his father knocked out Griffin's tooth. We're the same, he'd told Eric. Could that be true? Eric spotted David Hallenbeck walking ahead of him. Then in darted Cody, slapping David on the back, saying, Hey, Hallenbeck! Very clever, that Cody. Weasel. Eric fell in step with Hallenbeck. Don't let him get to you, he advised. Hallenbeck shot Eric a look of amazement. He sped up, as if to shake Eric. But Eric kept pace. They were both headed to music class on the far side of the building, so there was a long way to go. I know how it feels, Eric confided. You don't have to take it from those guys. Yeah, right, Hallenbeck mocked. You know how it feels. Eric looked at Hallenbeck out of the corner of his eye. He had a nervous, twitchy manner, always blinking, as if an anvil were about to drop out of the sky. You could talk to somebody, Eric said. Like that's gonna help, Hallenbeck answered scornfully. Listen, friend, his voice was filled with sarcasm. I'm no rat. I'm not crying to any teachers, and you're not either. Hey, don't get so mad, Eric said. I'm just trying to help. Hallenbeck held up a fist in front of his chest, showing it to Eric. He extended his index finger and then his thumb. The sign was unmistakable. It was a gun. Hallenbeck pointed his finger at Eric and then lifted it to the ceiling, then twice pressed down his thumb. Bang, bang. I know how to defend myself, Hallenbeck said. Don't worry about me, friend. Eric tried, and failed, to concentrate on his homework during home base. For starters, there's a commotion in the back of the room between Mary and some of the girls. It was some kind of disagreement. Mary stormed to Mr. Schofield's desk and demanded a pass to the library. Mr. Schofield refused. Mary protested, insisted it was important. Mr. Schofield held firm. Finally, after some hushed debate, he reluctantly made out a pass. Thanks, Mary said, plucking the pass from his fingers. You're welcome, Mary. Good luck. Something was definitely up. Meanwhile, Eric had David Hallenbeck to worry about. The kid was starting to scare him. The whole bang bang thing was just too weird. But what did it mean, really? David didn't make a threat. He didn't have a real weapon. It was just words, bluster from a boy who couldn't hurt a fly, right? It's not like he threatened to hurt anybody. The worst part of it, the guilty part, was Eric could totally see why some kids picked on Hallenbeck. The honest truth, there was something unlikable about that kid. Even though Eric tried to be decent to Hallenbeck, he kept pushing Eric away. Maybe that was for the best. After stewing on this for a long while, Eric reached a decision. He pulled up a chair next to Hallenbeck. "Tell me one thing," Eric demanded, "and I won't bother you again. Why do you even want to be friends with Griffin and those guys?" David stared levelly at Eric. "I am friends with them." Eric was dismayed. "David, all they do is pick on you." "Not always," he replied. "Griffin likes me." Eric paused a beat, disbelieving his ears. "Griffin," Eric finally exclaimed in frustration, "is a bad guy." It startled Eric to hear himself say it out loud. Eric wasn't even sure he had thought it until the words sprang from his mouth. It was a gut feeling rising up from deep down. Griffin is a bad guy. David Hallenbeck didn't answer. He went fish-eyed, shut his mouth, and nodded slightly, but not in agreement. The nod suggested something else, like David was making an internal decision, looking at Eric as if for the first time, and now thinking things through. Eric had no idea what any of it meant.